able to identify that pedigree if they are trying to breed out anything at all. You'll be able to define in that pedigree if the temperament of the dog is what it should be. If you've ever seen the pedigree paper for the German Shepherd dog of South Africa, you will see the detailed comments, or the one from Germany, you see the detailed comments, or the SABS pedigree, you see detailed comments, HD this, EB this, HD is hip, ED is elbow. They measure those things. I once paid for a dog from the US, a walking line German Shepherd. And I can tell you that this is about 3 years now. I still haven't gotten the dog. Not because the guy was duping me, but because simply the mother of the dog failed the hip test. They did a hip test and the mother of the dog failed it. And the guy said, I can't send you a dog that the mother failed hip testing. So you see how careful pedigree details are. So that's why people talk about pedigree. They don't talk about pedigree like we do. Here we talk about pedigree to be able to put a price on the dogs. That's not what pedigree is for. I can still sell a non-pedigree dog for the same price as a pedigree dog if I want to. But what we do here is that we say, oh, it's pedigree, therefore we put a big price. The truth is that the pedigree is much more than a document of price. It's a document of the details of the origins of the dog and what the dog is for. So if you know the breed standard and you understand the pedigree, you will know whether your dog is good or not. Sometimes I hear people say, my dog is 60% German Shepherd and 40% Caucasian. Who measured it? Who measured it, please? Where did you do the measurement? You cannot make such claims unless you have done a DNA test. If you don't do genetic test, you can't say my dog is half this and is half that. And even those percentages are suspect. So we need to be careful when we say certain things. Now, why am I saying all these things? Because if you say you're a responsible dog owner, these are things you should be aware of. You should be aware of your responsibility to the breed. Every breed wants to get into the next generation. Every breed wants to get into the next century. Every breed wants to get into infinity. Are you helping the breed get into the next generation, or are you helping the breed stop with you? So those are questions a responsible breeder asks himself. Like Logadin said, you first have to make sure you can cater for the dog. If, for instance, I want a German Shepherd and I live in a block of flats, already there's a problem. The problem is simple. In a block of flats, there's no space for the German Shepherd. German Shepherd dogs are dogs that need space to run around. They are walking dogs. Whether they are show line or they are walking line, they are walking dogs. And they need space to run around. An apartment is not enough space for a German Shepherd to run around. And if you put a German Shepherd in an apartment, for those of you who have locked up your German Shepherd in your parlor and gone away, when you come back, you know what happens. They can be very destructive. They can chew your furniture because they don't have that space. Second issue about German Shepherd in an apartment is that they are noisy dogs. Very noisy. When German Shepherd starts to bark here, it's almost like anything that moves, it barks at it. So your neighbors will be knocking on your door and say, tell your dog to keep quiet now. But if you want a quiet dog and you take an English Mastiff, for instance, pastor will tell you his dog rarely barks. So if he barks, he knows there's a problem. So if you want a dog that doesn't bark, then you lean towards the Mastiff breeds. So you lean towards the English Mastiff, the Boer bulls. They rarely bark. Then if you want a dog that has size and cannot bite and cannot do anything, just has size, buy a Great Dane. It just has size. Playful dog, doesn't bite anybody, hardly barks. If armed robber comes to your house, he will escort the armed robber to your kitchen. They are very playful dogs. Okay? But they have size. You bring them out, they are big, they are massive. If you live in an area where armed robbers are terrorizing you and you want to buy a dog, of course, in those days we would have said buy a Rottweiler. But gradually they've bred out the aggression in Rottweiler. Buy an alibi or buy a Caucasian for those kind of things. Those are big dogs. So you must know why you're buying a dog. You must know whether you can cater for the dog. Then again, can you foot the vet bills for the dog? Thank you, Dr. Ade, for being here. I always encourage partnership between dog owners and vets. I always encourage partnership between kennel clubs and vets. Why? Because there are a lot of things about veterinary practice, about medications, that we, the dog owners, know nothing about. I'll give you an example. 2 years ago in Rivers State, people were complaining that parvo vaccination was not working. 2 years ago, a lot of